Happy start to the new month, everybody. We're officially in October of 2023. And in today's video, we're going to be walking you through your October weather forecast to show you what you can expect with temperatures and precipitation across the country, as well as look ahead to when you can expect frost and freeze conditions throughout the month as well. If you're new to the channel and have not yet subscribed, it's absolutely free to do. So hit the subscribe button down below, especially if you like detailed weather breakdowns across North America and the tropics. I do cover that on this channel. And also begin to press the like button as well. It does help more than you know. So getting out here to the El Nino conditions, these are your sea surface temperature anomalies using degrees Celsius here. And this is currently across the Central Pacific. Is very warm out here. And this does signal that we have an El Nino at progress. And you can see over the past few months, we've been slowly creeping into that moderate El Nino status and actually approaching at times strong El Nino status, which is at plus 1.5. Now, we've gotten closer to that over the past couple of months. You can see all the way back into early July around the 8th time frame, we were just below a moderate El Nino. We finally achieved a moderate El Nino into early August, and we've maintained moderate El Nino status continuously through August, through September, and now into October 1st here at a plus 1.1. So looking at this right now, what we can expect with El Nino is that we get deeper into fall, deeper into winter. You can expect more significant weather patterns, including droughts here. So here's the U.S. Drought Monitor, and yeah, we're seeing significant drought across the southern plains, and the most significant drought across the country is down here into Texas, Louisiana, and southern Mississippi. But yes, even the Midwestern regions, the Pacific Northwest, seeing a lot of that severe, extreme, and exceptional drought as well. So, and looking at October as a whole, we can expect the drought to develop here in the areas in yellow, down into portions of the Tennessee Valley, back through the Dixie Alley region into northeast Mississippi, Alabama, west central Georgia. That is where we can expect more droughts to start to build and intensify. In the brown shaded colors, that's where the drought is right now. That's where we expect it to persist as we go through the month of October. And when you see these lighter gray shaded colors across the central plains, mostly down into the southern plains, especially through much of southern Oklahoma and Texas, that's where the drought remains, but will improve throughout the month. So we're going to start to see more precipitation working into this region. It will take time, but it'll start to overcome some of those drought conditions slowly but surely through the month of October. So without further ado, let's get into the forecast, the meat and potatoes of the forecast here. So early October, we have more of troughing across the Pacific Northwest and just off the coast there across the Aleutian Islands and the Northeast Pacific Basin, just to be certain. And we also have more ridging east of that. So we have more ridging across the northern tier into Canada here, into the northern United States, and across the west. So as such, the temperature outlook from today all the way through the first 10 days through October 10th, we're seeing much above normal temperatures across the west coast, especially in those orange and red shaded colors. That is where we'll be most above normal. We'll see normal conditions from the Great Lakes down through the Central Plains and into the eastern Four Corners region, as well as much of the East Coast. But in between there, we're going to see below normal temperatures. Now, this doesn't mean it's going to be 20 degrees for high temperatures or anything like that. It's certainly not winter yet. But we will be seeing some chillier shots of air coming down from Canada with frequent cold fronts that could be bringing our temperatures down possibly into the 60s and 70s, more likely than seeing the 80s and 90s like we have been seeing. So we're going to be seeing more below normal temperatures from the southern plains, yes, including Texas, all the way up through the mid-south and even into the Ohio Valley as we go through the first 10 days of the month. Looking at the precipitation outlook now through October 10th, much below normal, especially the deepest brown shaded colors up there toward Montana, Wyoming, the Dakotas, and Nebraska, western Iowa there, western Minnesota. That's where we're going to be most below normal with our precipitation. That actually lingers over to the Midwest and Ohio Valley. And much of the normal precipitation, per se, will be across the Southwest, the southern tier near the Gulf Coast, and much of the East Coast through the first 10 days of the month. Extending into middle of October, we still have that troughing across the Northeast Pacific Basin, but more of a progressive ridge. And what I mean by that is it's going to start to move from the west toward the heartland of the country country. So we're going to swing those above normal temperatures further off to the east, including more of the northern plains, back through the Rockies here with more normal conditions for temperatures from October 11th through October 21st timeframe across the southern plains through Dixie Alley, the southeast, and up through the east coast and into New England as we go through that time frame. Just looking at the precipitation outlook, a couple interesting features here that I want to talk about. Across the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast, with the troughing coming in, there could be several different storm systems moving in through the October 11th through the 21st time frame there, with above normal precipitation signaled there. Normal precipitation down near the southwest United States on up through portions of the eastern Tennessee Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast. But underneath that ridge, as you guys well know, lots of sinking air, lots of dry weather, so below normal precipitation is favored here, especially across the north central plains on up into the upper Midwestern regions. And then we have to watch down here from Virginia through the Carolinas, Georgia, Florida, near the Gulf Coast, all the way back to the Rio Grande Valley here for some tropical weather activity as we start to see some recurving of some tropical systems from the eastern Pacific and moving back toward Texas here. That could draw up some moisture as well. We also have to watch the Gulf of Mexico, I do think, as we get into the middle of October for any tropical rains or tropical systems during this period. That could signal us in toward above normal territory for precipitation. Then as we go into late October, we're going to see more of that progressive ridging moving from west to east across the United States, and that's where we start to see most of the country, probably 80% of the country above normal, at least slightly above normal in the yellow, but into the orange and especially the red. Up here into the north central states, that's where we're going to be most above normal from October 22nd through October 31st on Halloween, and that's where we could be seeing some warmer Halloweens and trick-or-treating further to the north, up into the upper Midwest. And then down here into the southeast, the Carolinas, down into Georgia, eastern Alabama, and Florida, more normal temperatures for that time of year as we get toward late October. Just looking at the precipitation outlook here, below normal precip across the west and parts of the Rockies. We will still see storm systems moving in, but less frequently than we have been seeing them toward the middle of October. We will also have below normal precip likely from the lower Ohio Valley through the Tennessee Valley, the southeast, and much of the southern tier here with below normal precip. Again, still seeing rainfall from time to time, but a lot below normal when you average up that week of October. And then, like I mentioned before, recurving of any tropical systems in the eastern Pacific Ocean could have an effect on a draw up of moisture across the middle of the country that could extend up not only into the southern plains, but the central plains and the Midwestern states as well. And then over top of that, just more normal precip from portions of the northern plains, the upper Great Lakes, and into portions of the Northeast through that Halloween time frame. Now let's turn the page and kind of look at when we can expect our first frost and widespread freeze across the United States. Anywhere here in the blue, we've likely already seen at least some type of patchy frost or scattered frost events already from Maine back through the upper Great Lakes here and into the northern Rockies, northern plains. In the green shaded colors, no matter if it's dark green, medium green, light green, usually that's through the month of October. So October 1st through the 10th in the darker green shaded colors here, and the medium greens across the Ohio Valley back into the Midwest and Central Plains, that's from October 11th through the 20th. And then in the lighter greens, the lime green colors, that is more of the October 21st through the 31st time frame. And anywhere further south from that into the oranges and yellows and tan shaded colors, that's into the month of November. And the closer you get toward the Gulf Coast and the southeast there, that's where you see more of that November 21st or later toward that Thanksgiving time frame. So that's your average first freeze of 32 degrees Fahrenheit or colder. The latest first freeze that we could see is possibly into November up here, but I think with the cool air coming in as we get into next week, this is going to challenge some of those latest first freezes, because I think we're going to start to see a lot more widespread frosts and freezes across the Midwest, the Central Plains, the Northern Plains, and areas like that over the next couple of weeks. So that will be something to watch. But further south, yeah, toward the Gulf Coast, the southern plains and Florida, I think, we could be waiting toward later October, maybe early November for our first full widespread 32 degrees Fahrenheit or colder type of widespread frosted freeze across those regions. Here's my official October forecast for 2023 in the orange shaded color across the northern tier. This includes the Pacific Northwest, the northern plains, the upper Midwest, and parts of the Great Lakes there. It will start off cool early October toward the middle of the month, then trend warmer as we go deeper into October toward Halloween. It's also going to be rather dry across the north as well. We will still have precipitation, but not as frequently here through the month as we, usually do see. In the yellow shaded color from the Pacific Southwest through much of the Four Corners region, the Central Rockies over to the Central Plains here, we're going to be seeing quite mild conditions for this time of year. Still some cool periods at times, but quite mild when you average up all 31 days of October. Rather dry to start, but then turning wetter as we have more recurving of those tropical moisture and systems from the eastern Pacific, drawing up some moisture into this yellow shaded color as we go deeper into October. In the greens here from Texas, the southern plains through much of the Tennessee, Ohio River valleys, getting into the mid-Atlantic and northeast. Mild for most of October, but with active weather. We're going to see frequent cold fronts moving through, frequent rounds of showers and thunderstorms, possibly even some severe weather events as well into this area. So we'll have to keep an eye on that through October with the clash of the air masses where we have warm air out ahead of a cold front, cool, stable air behind that. That could set up a battle zone in this green shaded color, especially down through Texas, the mid-south, and into the Ohio Valley, most likely. And then into the red shaded colors, especially into the eastern Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama, southern Mississippi, southern Louisiana, and Florida, as we know, across the immediate southeast. We have to watch the tropics. I think we still have to keep an eye on tropical systems, or at least tropical moisture trying to come up from the Gulf of Mexico into the southeast, or any systems from the western Atlantic that could start to make headlines here across the southeast through October. We'll keep an eye on that as well. Well, if you haven't seen my winter forecast for 2023 and 2024, make sure to do so. It's a great video, lots of great information on that. That link for that video is in the description below this one. Make sure to go comment on that video if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, and give it a like most definitely as well. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching my October weather forecast, and I hope everybody has a great October out there.